Hi, welcome to Pat Bear's Anime Club. It's an ongoing video series where every other Monday I put up a new ep talking about something from the world of anime that I want to chat with you about. Could be a deep dive, it could be just me talking about stuff I love or stuff I don't like, like a pet peeve. It could be talking about the shows that we're currently out in the season or just something I really want to talk about. And here is the first thing. Worst reveals and twists. So this is just looking at some examples of some anime that, like, maybe it was a character reveal or a big plot reveal or the plot twist just wasn't good. It was bad. It sucked. You either saw it a mile away, or it was such a egregious plot twist that you're just like, well, come on. You're like, no, there are no clues for that. That's just to do something. It could be very frustrating, especially if it comes in and like the last episode. And we'll talk about some of those examples. And a couple of these, honestly, are just pet peeves and like a show that nobody talks about, and I want to talk shit about it, so I did it in a video. You get it. You'll pick it up real quick, I think. If you have any that I didn't mention here, leave in the comments below. Try not to spoil. Just say like, hey, there's a thing from and the name of the anime, because, hey, guess what? There are going to be a lot of spoilers here. So I will give you time when I say the name of a show before I reveal what the spoiler is, like when I did my anime trails tier maker list. Hopefully I gave people some time to be like, oh, actually, I don't want to know that. So I'm going to reveal some stuff. And if it's a show about, if it's about a show that you wanted to see or you're currently watching, you can just go and watch another one of my videos. But yeah, try not to do spoilers in the comments. And if you have any ideas for future videos you'd like to see, you can also leave those in the comments as well, because I like getting those. All right, let's get into it. So let's talk about love flops. I got to bring up my little info about these, because I did a lot of research for this video. I've been wanting to do it for a while about one particular show, which it hasn't reached that point in the anime yet where I could talk about it. It's obviously a manga spoiler, so I won't say the name of the show, but I really want to talk about it. And I was like, you know what? I did so much research. Let's just go with the ones I have here, and we'll do another one in the future about this one particular show. Well, let's start with Love Flops, which came out a couple years ago. Again, if you don't want spoilers for this, here, you can see it's a show about a bunch of ladies. It's about Asai, who is our main character. He's just a high school student. He's just kind of a dork. And he meets 5 girls at school, and they're all like, we love you. And so it's a harem show, and it's over the top, and it's so over the top, and all the it's at first I was like, oh, is this like a send up of the genre? Is this like, look at these girls that have they have one personality trait, and we're going to see that, and they all love this guy for seemingly no reason, and then it's just goofy hijinks, but it keeps going. And so I'm like, is this a commentary? But it's not much of a commentary. And then we get the twist, the big twist of the show. These are not real girls. These are all AI, and they're all split off from one person. He's just been living in a simulation. All these girls have been created, and they're all personality parts of, I gotta look up her name, Aoi. Aoi, his childhood friend that died. And so apparently this is all made for him to go through grief, but also to test AI. And it goes, and then there's a happy ending and all that. But the thing about it is, if you put up with all of the bad, shitty harem tropes just to get to the part where you get the reveal that this is about sadness and loneliness, and these weren't real people, but there is an AI of the real person, and closure could be made with that and all of that, you're not the kind of person that wants that show. You want the shitty harem that you were watching, the over-the-top nonsense harem. You want to get the conclusion of that. You want to see if he picks anybody. You want to see the heightening of the situations. You don't want to see a show about grief. And if you're interested in something like that, of like the meta commentary on harem shows and how, well, of course this wasn't real, because how could it be real and all of that, it comes way too late for you. You'll never get that far in the anime. At most, you might go back and watch it because of videos like this. And Mother's Basement is where I found out about this show and all of that. Like, so you kind of have to go in and watch it knowing the twist is coming to get it. But then that's not worth it. It's a terrible experiment realized. Not the experiment within the anime and the experiment of the show. It's one that just like infuriates me at the very concept of it. And I guess a lot of the, when I say worst, I mean things that made me mad. Like the plot twist in Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. Oop, I gotta click over here. Okay, there we go. Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, which we're getting a second season of in 2025. But the original show aired 15 years ago and ends in a big twist cliffhanger. And if you don't want to be spoiled with it, now's your time to go away. I'll give you a second. I'm going to drink a sip of water, and then we'll get into Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. All right. So our main characters are bad angels. They get kicked out of heaven. They have to protect this city that is in between heaven and earth. And they're doing it. And they get into situations, and it's comedy and action, and it's very fun. And they play well off each other. You know, they're fallen angels, but they're not like really that bad comparatively. They just, get things done. They're just not holy characters. Except at the very end of it, the cliffhanger, the end of season 1, where it is revealed that Stocking is a demon and has been a demon this whole time, and she kills Panty and cuts her up into 666 pieces. Get it? And that's how the show ends. And again, for 15 years, that's it. It just, a huge cliffhanger happened. And if it had been a year or 6 months or 2 years and then season 2 came out, I probably wouldn't include this in the video, because it would be like, oh, that's interesting, and then we get to pay it off. But because it's been 15 years and up until very recently seemed like that would just be the end of the series and there would never be more, it sucks, because you shouldn't make that kind of big twist if you don't think that, unless you think for sure you are going to get to make more. Because, like I said, for now a decade and a half, there has been nothing else. So it's just lived as a terrible plot twist or a anime betrayal, if you want to go that way. And it just like takes away from a really fun show, because it makes it like not fun to go and rewatch it, especially when there was only one season, because, well, you know how it ends, and it's like, oh, the fun isn't going to be there, because the whole time you're just like, she's a demon, and why, and what, and huh? And now I guess we're going to get some closure. So maybe once season 2 airs, I will feel less annoyed by this twist and a reveal, and I'll feel like, oh, it's okay. But right now, I'm just like still thinking about it, and just like, why did that happen? Why do we do this? It's like a twist for twist's sake, just to be like, ha, gotcha, you've been wrong this whole time, audience. And it's like, well, fuck you. Another fuck you that maybe is at the feet of us, the viewers, is a big twist in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, the third Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. There's a movie that ties in a bunch of these characters together, but it's primarily, it is about Yusei, who is just like another great duelist, and he's getting into some scrapes, and he's trying to make his way, and he has an issue with like this like cult at the end of the third season. They're trying to like seemingly destroy the world. And the main antagonist is Zone, Z-O-N-E, but Zone. And Zone, it's not flat out said, but is presented as if Zone is Yusei from the future. He's an older version of Yusei. And, time travel and has happened, forward and all that, and destinies and ancient gods and all that, and reincarnation and all that. So it's nothing like where you're like, oh, that doesn't make sense to me. But okay, so we're setting up that Yusei is him from the future, and now he's bad, and he's traveled back in time, and he's got to face himself, and that'll ask a lot of questions because Yusei is like a good boy, and shonen protagonist. So how is he going to deal with the future and what happened and all that? And is it an alternative timeline and all those things? You get those questions, right? Zone. And, again, if you really don't want to know this, go to the other part of the video or just, I'll see you. But Zone's just some guy. Zone is a scientist in the future who humanity's been fighting, and all of that has to do kind of with dual monsters and energy and trying to evolve humanity and that going wrong. And that's really complicated and unnecessary and way too complicated for the show. But this scientist got inspired by Yusei in our main characters, in the main storyline's future. He protects a city, and it's this great big thing, and he goes on to inspire people. So our guy, inspired by that, becomes him. He gets surgery to look like him. He puts a chip in his head so that he can act more like him and all this stuff. And he manages to rally people, but he doesn't save humanity. And in the end, he's all alone, and he becomes a bitter old man. And so he goes back in time to prevent various things from happening, from his world being ruined, even if that makes him the bad guy, because he's so disillusioned by doing the right thing, and he couldn't be Yusei. So when they have their showdown, he's just like, oh, well, relying on your companions and all the good heart of the cards stuff, none of that matters because it didn't work out for me. And it might be interesting, but then we got teased. We got teased with, I'm fighting the disillusioned version of myself in the future. But instead, it's just our main character has to face a sad old man that looks like our main character in the future. And it's just like, this is a sad old man with plastic surgery. And he gets redeemed, which doesn't really happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because most of the time they just get destroyed. But even then, it's like, who cares? I don't care. Oh, whatever. Fine. It's just weird. It's one of those things where, again, this is an excuse for me to complain about twists and shows I don't like. And you may never see this because you're like, Pat, I did not watch any of these Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows, or I only watched the first one. I do not care about this time travel thing, because it was time travel, but it wasn't the time travel we thought it was as a twist, and that being bad. But to me, it sucks, and I hate it. Speaking of it sucks and I hate it, Charlotte. Boy, so you might not know about this show. You may know the premise. You actually probably know it from clips of the last couple episodes, which we'll get to. Why, unfortunately, its legacy is those uploaded YouTube clips being what people think the whole show is, which is a shame. So, this is, for most of it, a very goofy show. Our guy, Yu, he can transport himself into other people's bodies and take over their bodies. And he uses that skill, because he's a high school student, to cheat on tests, because he's very lazy. There are a lot of people with powers, we find out. Even some people that he jumps into bodies of have powers. But also there's other people, he gets basically conned into joining the student council and then problem solving along with other people, and it's interpersonal relationships, and it's him and his younger sister, and it's very cute, and there's idol stuff going on, and are they with the main characters, and it's cute and fun and light and sometimes garbage, but enjoyable trash. And then the show becomes a drama. And there's stuff with a little sister, and there's a bigger picture and terrorists, and it It's one of those things where you're just like, oh, this is a visual novel, and then they decided that this is what the story really is. But if you're watching the anime and you're just watching the cute, good, silly times, then it's just like, oh, it became a drama. And that's not the plot twist, to me, that really pisses me off. It's the plot reveal that he doesn't just possess people. If he possesses someone with abilities, he can take those abilities and even steal those abilities. And he has the ability Plunderer. And it's very contrived because his older brother had the ability to go back in time. And so when he takes that power, he can go back in time and he can prevent the death of his younger sister, but he can't. But then they have to take that power away, and then they have to make it so that other things happen. And eventually, like I said, people know Charlotte as the show where a guy has a bunch of powers, but he's slowly losing his mind as he takes new powers, and he's stealing powers from people in more and more elaborate fights that take less and less time because they ran out of episodes for the show, so they just got to cram it all in there. And that's what people remember. They remember this guy Yu with all these abilities, who's also clearly losing his mind, fighting all these people because of his grief, and also as he steals abilities, he's losing his touch with reality and all this other stuff. And it starts with the fact that, oh, all this time, actually, he could have been stealing abilities. And the fact that it's not a comedy, it's a drama that was funny in the beginning, makes it for just really unpleasant. Because I like the beginning. And like I said, people will go into this show having seen YouTube clips of him being an overpowered main character, and they'll be like, wait, this guy sucks. That's not a big deal. But also, this show is goofy and fun. When does it become bad? Oh, it takes forever to become this way? What people think of? Blah. Blah. The fact that he could steal abilities and just never did it, and all this other stuff, and the time travel and alternate timelines, and just more and more like sadness and dumping of sadness, just to kind of tack on a fun-ish ending. I will give it one bit of credit. One of the characters is just like balks at the idea that they're a love interest. They're just like, what? Where did that come from? And he has to say like, yeah, sorry, I can't control that. Because at the very least, they acknowledge it, which is both great and also terrible. Because what are we doing here? Okay, yeah. I'm going to try to keep this around 20 minutes by the time I finish talking about the last show, which is very small. Again, this could have been titled Pat Baer's Grievances with Plot Twists, but here we go. Infinite Dendrogram. This is a VR MMO game about a bunch of, that takes place almost exclusively in the VR MMO. People and their pets are creatures and AI, and it's a whole thing. And main character has a history that people don't know about, and a relationship with an overpowered main character. But then he becomes the overpowered main character, and it's a whole thing. And I don't care about that. I don't even want to talk about the main character. I want to talk about Rook Holmes. Rook Holmes is right there with the kind of comb-over white hair. He's there with a demon or a succubus or something. I think it's a succubus. I can't remember. But anyway, his name is Rook Holmes. Holmes is his real last name. And there's a whole thing about him and what he doesn't show. But I want to talk about the twist. The reveal. Again, this is not a plot reveal. This is a character twist that infuriated me as I was watching this show. This is based on a light novel and a manga, and the anime at one point says that gives Hook Holmes a little bit of character background, that his parents have both passed away in an accident, and his dad was investigating this video game, and that's why he's investigating, because he wants to be a detective like his dad, and his mom was a thief. And it is implied that Holmes is his real last name because his detective father and his thief mother. So the anime implies that his dad is Sherlock Holmes, and in this anime, Sherlock Holmes was a real person, and he is the son of Sherlock Holmes and a thief that he fell in love with. And that's stupid. Mainly because why is Sherlock Holmes real? And two, Why is this not important to the story? Why is this flavor? And it's like implied. Now, I've spoiled a moment of the anime, spoilers for the manga and the light novel. Apparently, this is explained further. Not in the 13 episodes of the anime, but in other stuff that this is sourced from. That, and maybe it was a retcon later, I don't know. I apologize, I don't know. That that Rook's, I should say, great-great-grandfather was inspired to become a detective from his love of Sherlock Holmes novels. And so he changed his name to Sherlock Holmes. And then eventually a detective named Holmes and a thief got together and had a kid named Rook Holmes. And then they died in an accident or something. Or maybe, who knows. And Rook is a detective like his dad was. So he's not actually the son of the real life Sherlock Holmes, who was alive and existed in this world. He is instead the great great grandson of a guy who was inspired by Sherlock Holmes, the fictional character, which makes a lot more sense. And again, that could have been retconned, but I'm only going off of the anime because I've only watched the anime, and it infuriated me because he could have just been named Rook Holmes. He didn't have to be the son of Sherlock Holmes, who's real. Because if that's way more interesting than anything else that's happening in the show, which is just about like characters from other servers trying to destroy this server and people growing in their powers and unlocking abilities that shouldn't be in the game and all this other stuff that sucks. And I hate watching the show because it was kind of interesting and then I just needed to know. And I was watching it, and then I realized it was 13 episodes, not 12. And so I was like, I have to watch another episode. And they delayed, like at episode 11, they did a delay. So I thought I was going to take a long time to watch the 12th episode. And then there was one more, and I just hated it so much. But also, I was mad the whole time because I was just like, oh, this guy is here. Why aren't we talking about the fact that he's the son of Sherlock Holmes, who is real? But he's not. So the anime has a twist that isn't actually a real twist, or it was retconned. Again, I don't know for sure. I'm sorry. I did the research. I was happy to find out that in the source material, that's not that. And maybe the anime was only implying that to then in season 2 of the anime, which they didn't get to do, revealing that, oh, the actual story. So who knows? But it's Infinite Dendrogram, and I don't want to ever have to talk about this anime ever again. So I finally got it out there. I can talk about this terrible twist that he's the son of Sherlock Holmes in a VR MMO style game. Yeah. I feel so much better talking about 5 of the worst reveals and twists in anime. I have another video in me of this, again, inspired by the anime. If you have any ideas, you can just say, like, this show. You don't have to say what the spoiler is. If you can just be like, oh, I didn't like this. Because sometimes there are twists and reveals that I think are fine. Like a character in My Hero Academia being the son of a character. It was very obvious. We all saw it coming. I don't think it's bad. Some people do. Or the clear retcon of the power that a certain pirate has in a certain anime being different from what we all thought. And so people really hate that. And I don't hate it yet. Maybe by the end of the manga, I will hate it. But right now, I don't hate it. I think it's kind of cool. It kind of explains how a not-so-great power was growing and changing and being more interesting than we originally thought, or it had any right to be, and inventive. And I was like, oh, okay, now it kind of makes some sense. In my mind. Other people know. There are other twists and turns. You can let me know just by like the show, if you want to put the show in there and you don't want to actually say the spoiler in a YouTube comment. I understand. If you have ideas for future shows for the next episode of Pat Baer's Anime Club, please let me know. The next episode, I'm going to talk about how this season, the spring 2025 season, is chock full of girls doing things. The subgenre is back, baby, and I'm very excited to talk about it. And I'm so happy you watched this video. Thank you so much for that. Like and comment and subscribe and tell a friend and all those things. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.